The infinite scars of a single second. Do you know what silence sounds like when you can hear every possible choice being made at once? It's not quiet, it's a roar. A symphony of maybes and might-have-beens. A chorus of ghosts singing about the lives they could have lived. It's the loudest sound in the universe, and I am the only one who can hear it. My name, the one I was born with, is Stephen Strange. It feels like a lifetime ago. I was a doctor then, a surgeon. My world was one of bone and tissue and nerve endings. It was quantifiable. You could hold a life in your hands, literally. There was a protocol, a procedure for everything, a cut, a stitch, a diagnosis. There was an elegant, brutal certainty to it. I was a master of that certainty. My hands, they were famous. They were instruments of such precision they could trace the architecture of a human soul through the delicate pathways of the brain. I could mend the broken, fix the flawed, impose order on the chaos of the body. I was arrogant, yes. But my arrogance was built on a foundation of results. I believed in what I could see, what I could touch, what I could prove. Then I fell. Not just from grace, not just from my pedestal. I fell from my entire understanding of reality. My hands were shattered, and with them, the man I thought I was. The world of certainty I had built for myself crumbled into dust, and through the cracks I saw something else. Something bigger, older, and infinitely more chaotic. I sought a cure for my hands, but what I found was a cure for my ignorance. I traded a scalpel for a sling ring, anatomy charts for the Book of Cagliostro. I learned that the universe wasn't a clockwork machine to be understood, but a living, breathing, screaming entity to be negotiated with. I became a sorcerer. The Sorcerer Supreme. A ridiculous title, isn't it? It sounds like something from a children's story, but the responsibility is anything but. The irony is, I still think of myself as a surgeon. I've just changed my specialty. My patient is no longer a single human body, but the entire fabric of existence. My operating theater is time itself. My instruments are incantations older than language. And the diseases I fight, they have names like Dormammu and Thanos and the unraveling of sanity itself. The problem with being a surgeon of reality is that there are no textbooks. There are no established procedures. Every incision I make into the timeline, every spell I cast to mend a tear in the multiverse is an improvisation. And every single cut leaves a scar. Not on me, not physically. The scars from my car accident are pale, faded reminders of a simpler pain. No, these new scars are etched onto my mind, my soul. They are invisible, and they are infinite. The first time I truly understood the weight of it all was with the Time Stone. To you, to everyone else, I looked into the future once. A desperate, last-ditch effort on a desolate planet. You saw me sit, cross-legged, for a few minutes, my body convulsing as I sifted through possibilities. You remember the number, 14,605,000, the one future where we won. It has become a legend, a testament to my power, my foresight. But you have no idea what it was truly like. It wasn't a few minutes for me. Time is relative, especially when you are holding its very essence in your hand. For me, it was an eternity. I didn't just see those futures, I lived them. I lived 14,605,000 lives. I died in almost every single one. I felt the snap of my own neck, the incineration of my body, the agony of watching my friends, my world turn to dust again and again and again. I watched Tony Stark die thousands of times before I ever saw him do it for real. I saw Peter Parker crumble to ash in my arms in a million different ways, each one more heartbreaking than the last. I fought, and I failed, and I died, and I was reborn into the next horrifying possibility over and over until the man who sat down on that rock was not the same man who stood up. That man was gone. He was scoured away by the abrasive friction of infinite realities. What was left was an echo, a collection of all those failures, all that pain, with one single shining path forward. The one path that demanded the most sacrifice, the most pain, but the one path that led to a sunrise. And my curse, my burden, is that I am the only one who remembers the cost. I am the only one who remembers the 14,604 universes of dead friends that we used as paving stones to build our one victory. When you look at your loved ones, you see their faces, their smiles. When I look at them, I see the ghosts of their alternate deaths. I see the shadow of the bullet they dodged, the timeline where the building collapsed, the future where the spell failed. It is a constant screaming background noise to the quiet joy of our survival. My hands, I look at them now. The tremors are long gone, healed by magic. They can weave light into shields, open portals to the other side of the world. They can bend the laws of physics as easily as I once bent a paperclip. But they can no longer perform surgery. I tried once, years ago. A simple procedure, an appendectomy on a fellow sorcerer at Camartage. My hands were steady. My knowledge of the anatomy was as sharp as ever, but as I held the scalpel, I saw it. I saw 1,000 alternate outcomes. A timeline where my hand slipped and severed an artery. Another where an unknown allergy to the anesthetic caused a fatal reaction. A future where the incision became infected, leading to a slow, agonizing death. I saw every possible mistake, every permutation of failure all at once. The single, clean line of the incision became a branching tree of horrors in my mind. I couldn't make the cut. The man who could once navigate the microscopic universe inside a human brain was now paralyzed by the macroscopic universe of infinite possibility. I put the scalpel down. I have never picked one up again. I fixed my hands, but I broke my mind. That was the first true transaction of my new life. A debt I didn't even know I was accruing. Magic always has a cost. The Ancient One tried to teach me that, but I was too arrogant to listen. I thought it was a metaphor, a philosophical warning about hubris. It's not. It's a fundamental law, as immutable as gravity. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. For every spell that saves a life, a price is paid somewhere else. Sometimes it's a physical toll, a drain on your life force. Sometimes it's more subtle. You trade a piece of your peace, a sliver of your sanity, a memory of what it felt like to be blissfully, wonderfully ignorant. After 14 million futures, my debt is astronomical. I have paid for our victory with every peaceful night's sleep I will never have again. This knowledge, it changes everything. It poisons every interaction. How can I have a simple conversation with Wong over tea when I can vividly recall a dozen timelines where that same conversation was interrupted by an assassin's blade, or a demon tearing through the wall, or him choking on the tea itself? How can I look at America Chavez, a child full of hope and power, and not see the countless futures where her power is stolen, where she is turned into a living weapon, or where she simply stumbles and breaks her neck? It makes me distant, cold. It has to. If I let myself feel the pain of every potential loss, the grief of every ghost timeline, I would shatter. I would be a gibbering wreck in the corner of this sanctum, and the Sorcerer Supreme cannot afford that luxury. So I build walls. I use sarcasm and arrogance as armor the same way I used them when I was a surgeon. It's a shield to keep people at a distance, to stop them from seeing the screaming chaos behind my eyes. It is the only way I can function, the only way I can continue to be the surgeon that reality needs. The true philosophical horror isn't just seeing the bad outcomes. It's understanding the nature of the good one, the one path, the single thread. It's never the easiest one. It's never the one with the least pain. The optimal timeline, the one that ensures the survival of the most, is always, always forged in sacrifice. It requires impossible choices. It demands that good people do terrible things for the right reasons, and it requires a scalpel. Someone has to be the one to make the cut, to sever the gangrenous timeline, to sacrifice the few to save the many. That is my job now. I am the arbiter of the impossible choice. I am the one who has to look at a billion happy, thriving timelines and know that they must be pruned, cauterized from existence because they lead to an eventual cosmic collapse 1,000 years from now. I am the man who murders worlds to save a universe. Can you imagine that? To hold the fate of a reality in your mind, a reality full of people laughing and loving and living their simple, beautiful lives, and to be the one who has to extinguish it. I've done it. More times than I can count. I've watched heroes rise and fall in worlds that no one will ever remember. I've seen civilizations achieve utopia, only to have to erase them because their energy signature attracted a multiverse-ending predator. I close my eyes, I perform the spell, and they are gone. Not dead. Worse. They never were. Their entire history, every love story, every piece of art, every child's first step, it all just dissolves. It becomes another silent scream in the roar that fills my head, another scar on my soul. There was one timeline that haunts me more than any of the others. It wasn't one of the 14 million. This was later, a different crisis, a smaller tear in the fabric. I was looking for a solution, sifting through the branches of what could be, and I found it. A world where I never went to Camartage. My hands, they were healed, but not by magic. They were healed by a revolutionary experimental treatment, a combination of robotics and nerve regeneration. It took years of agonizing therapy, but I got him back. Not perfectly. I could never be a surgeon again. The fine motor control was gone, but I could hold a coffee cup, I could drive a car, I could live. In that timeline, I was humbled. The accident and the long recovery broke my arrogance in a way magic never could. I became a different kind of doctor, a researcher, a teacher. I dedicated my life to the science that had saved me. And I had found my way back to Christine. Without the hubris, without the obsession, I was a different man, a better man. I listened to her. I was there for her. We married. We had a small house, nothing grand. We had a daughter. Her name was Maya. She had my eyes and Christine's smile. I remember seeing a moment from that life. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was in the backyard pushing Maya on a swing. The sun was warm on my face. Christine was on the porch reading a book, and she looked up at us and smiled a smile so pure, so full of unadulterated happiness that it was like looking at the face of God. I felt peace. A quiet, simple, profound peace that I had never known. A life where my greatest concern was how high I could push my daughter on a swing without her getting scared. A life measured in scraped knees and bedtime stories. A life where my hands were used not to fight interdimensional demons, but to hold my wife's hand to build a treehouse for my daughter. It was perfect. And it was utterly, catastrophically doomed. The existence of that timeline, my happiness, my peace, it created a paradox, a subtle instability. By healing my hands through science, I never sought out the mystic arts. I never became the Sorcerer Supreme. And because of that, a minor mystical threat that I would have easily dispatched in this reality was allowed to fester, to grow. It started small, a cult, a minor demon, but without me to stop it, it grew into a cancer. In 100 years, that cancer would consume their entire universe. And in 1,000 years, it would gain enough power to tear through the walls of the multiverse and begin a cascade of destruction that would end everything, all of existence. Every timeline, every universe, including ours. My perfect life, my daughter on the swing, my wife's smile. It was the seed of cosmic Armageddon. I had a choice. A terrible, impossible choice. Let that beautiful world live and condemn all others to death, or make the cut. Be the surgeon. I stood there, outside of time, watching myself push my daughter on that swing. I could hear her laughter. It was the most beautiful sound I had ever heard, and I knew I had to silence it forever. I had to murder my own happiness. I had to reach into the code of existence and delete the file. I had to sacrifice the life where I was truly loved, where I was truly whole, to protect a universe that only knows me as an arrogant, distant protector. I performed the spell, I pruned the timeline, and I felt it break. I felt my own heart, the heart of that other Stephen, shatter into a million pieces as his world dissolved into nothing. I felt my daughter's laughter fade into the roar of all the other lost moments. I killed my own child, a child who never technically existed, a ghost of a ghost. But the grief I feel is as real as the stone floors beneath my feet. That was my epiphany. That was the moment I finally understood my role. I am not a hero. Heroes get statues. Heroes get happy endings. I am not a god. Gods are worshipped or feared. I am a function. I am a necessary, painful part of the cosmic immune system. My purpose is not to find happiness or peace or love. My purpose is to bear the weight. I am the repository for the universe's sorrow. I am the one who must remember the worlds that had to die. I am the living monument to every sacrifice made in the dark so that others can live in the light. My job is not to win. My job is to ensure that there is a game left to be played tomorrow. The arrogance of the surgeon is long dead. He died on Titan, somewhere in the middle of his 10 millionth death. What remains is the resolve, the grim, unyielding acceptance that this is my penance for my old life, my hubris, my selfishness, and my purpose. So I stand here, in the quiet of the Sanctum Sanctorum, surrounded by relics of unimaginable power. I listen to the roar of infinite possibilities. I feel the phantom pain of scars from wounds I never received in battles I only fought in my mind. And I watch over our one single, impossibly fragile reality. I am no longer Dr. Stephen Strange, the brilliant surgeon. I am not even just Dr. Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme. I am the watcher at the edge of forever. The lonely doctor making his rounds through the sick wards of time, I am the steady hand that holds the scalpel to the throat of a universe, praying I make the right incision. The silence is deafening. It is a constant, crushing pressure of what could have been. But if I listen very, very closely, beneath the roar, I can still hear it. The single, beautiful, fragile heartbeat of now, of this moment, your moment. And it is my job to protect that sound. At any cost,